All right, good afternoon, everybody. Hope everybody's doing well. I think we're waiting on a few more to jump in. Thanks everybody for attending the webinar today about the DARPA BTO BAA. Excited to go over some of those details. We're just going to wait just a quick minute for everybody to jump in and we'll get started here soon. Just a little housekeeping, just so that you guys are aware, we do have the chat off during the webinar today. But if you do have questions, you can go down to the bar at Zoom and click the Q&A button. You're welcome to any sort of questions you guys have through the Q&A portion of Zoom, and we'll respond to those as we see fit, either in written responses or we'll also typically have some time for Q&A at the end of the webinar today. So just give it another little bit for everybody to jump in. Appreciate everybody spending their lunch break or early morning on the West Coast or early afternoon on the East Coast with us. The slide deck that's going to be shared here today by Dr. Samira will be available after the call, as well as a call recording. Just as you guys are planning these things, I see some note takers in here. All right, well, welcome everybody. We're going to get started here. Thanks for joining us today. So my name's Robert. I'm Chief Revenue Officer for BW&CO. We are a grant writing firm based out of Houston, Texas, that helps tech companies across the U.S. apply for national funding opportunity across multiple industries. So last week we had an opportunity that we spoke about the CHIPS Act, the broad agency announcement associated with that, semiconductor production. And next week we're going to be focusing on NIH reporting, submission guidelines, administrative support that's necessary for submitting your NIH grant. We're really out here providing these webinars to give you guys information about upcoming opportunities that are probably the most pressing at this point, and that are still available given the current financial or federal situation, and going over the details about what's entailed in the DARPA BTO, for an example. And what's required to apply, what kind of things are they looking for, how does your type of technology possibly apply for this opportunity. And so to do all that, we have Dr. Samira here, who has quite a bit of background in this space, has been a grant writer for quite some time and works with us full-time here at BW&CO, and is going to be presenting kind of the ins and outs about the DARPA BTO. If you guys are looking for assistance in pursuing this opportunity, I'd love to speak with you after the call here today and try to see if we can provide supplemental help for your application or take on a crux of the grant writing to help you guys get your best shot on goal. So just a little bit of housekeeping. The chat is closed for this webinar. If you have any questions at any time, you can submit them in the Q&A section, and we'll either address those while the conversation is going or afterward during our Q&A time. These slides and the recording of the webinar will be available after the call and will be sent out via email to every participant here. So if you are on the call or signed up previously for the webinar, you should get a copy of both the slide deck as well as the call recording. If you do not, you can connect with us on LinkedIn. I'm Robert Wagner at BW&CO on LinkedIn. Feel free to send me a message and say, hey, I didn't get my slide deck. Can you please send it over? I'll make sure you guys get a copy. So without further ado, I'll turn this edition over to Dr. Samira, and I'll let her take it from here.
Thank you, Robert, and thank you everyone for joining. Let's talk about why DARPA BTO is interesting and why we should look at it. Very briefly, the agenda for today is to talk about what DARPA BTO is seeking, what's the purpose, what are they going to fund, their core priority areas. Some examples we can just talk about, each topic area and their potential applications, that ideas that you have, but let's put them, on the board and think about it. And then how much are they going to fund? What are they going to fund? What's the application process and the evaluation criteria? And then Robert will tell you more about what we can help you with and how we can help you, and we can go into the Q&A. So as a small business, why is DARPA Biotechnologies interesting for me? Why DARPA in general is an interesting avenue for small businesses? DARPA, I think, is one of the fastest if not the fastest agency to respond to applications. And if they find something interesting and if it aligns with their technology area, they move in days and not months. So the turnaround time is pretty quick. Also, DARPA engages in various different ways. It is not just a grant, it can be a procurement contract. You could go into other transactions for research or prototype. And one thing they would love to see is how soon a small business is ready to engage with them after. So, for example, you apply to the DARPA funding right now and you propose a 2-year project plan. And at the end of 2 years, are you ready to engage with DARPA? Are you ready to sign a contract, be their vendor, be aggressively moving into commercialization? That's what DARPA is looking for. You may see a similarity between DARPA and NSF in the sense that they both seek highly innovative, high risk, high reward technologies and products. And what they're looking for, what DARPA is specifically looking for, is for you to leverage biological or chemical processes for the nation's ability to protect its warfighters. And that can come in various ways. It could come in AI, microbial research, chemical research, all towards the end goal of securing the nation's warfighters and for the nation's strength to protect itself. Why is DARPA a low barrier to entry? It's not traditional, they engage. And there are multiple ways to engage with DARPA. And the Small Business Program Office at DARPA makes it easier for non-traditional and highly innovative small business ideas to rapidly move into a contract stage. Again, like I said, multiple ways to engage. DARPA has a lot of avenues like the Innovation Fair. There's one coming up pretty soon, next month on November 12th. If everything goes normally, if things still function the way they have to, November 12th, do register for the opportunity fair. You could do it in person, and it's a great opportunity to engage with DARPA program officers. So, what are the other benefits of DARPA? One thing you get out of DARPA is a lot of exposure and a lot of networking. And think of DARPA award as a high-profile validation for your commercialization plans in the future. So there was a recent webinar from the DARPA's biotechnology program officer, the director of BTO, and you guys can look it up online or we can share a link with you. But what's interesting is they said they're looking for strategic surprise, they're looking for ruggedization, and they're looking for transitional ability. So you may have an AI product or a tool, but how close are you to realistic transition into the defense? Is your technology cutting edge, highly innovative? There is a very, very strict no-go for incremental improvements to existing practice. It could be your own product, which you already have, and you want to do incremental improvements. That's not going to stick with DARPA. It could be a standard practice and you want to propose an improvement to the standard practice. That is not going to be interesting either. Their core thrust areas are going to be data factories, combat casualty care, and logistics. Let me give you some examples of what is interesting in a data factory. When we think of data factories, we traditionally think about software tools, but microbes are a great new avenue for being data factories. We could use microbes for storing data. Microbes can be used in producing proteins, antibodies, antigens, etc. There is a very high interest in sequence to function dynamics, so genomics to phenomics, kind of a transition. Another thing that DARPA is interested is in combat casualty care. So how would your technology or product be useful to far forward deployed personnel? What is also interesting about DARPA is they keep coming out especially the BTO, they keep coming out with special topics of interest. And if you are aligned with the topic, it's a rapid turnaround for that. So an example of combat casualty care that recently had come out was RBCs. So blood products. Are you able to design new blood products or supplements that are shelf life, that have a long shelf life, that are easy to transport? So that way you are looking at logistics and also providing solutions for the combat casualty care. Logistics, again, resilience of operations, supply chain, make critical supplies at the point of need. So for example, there is battlefield or deployment area. Can your product be produced on site? Is there a way to transport it without any dangers to the supply chain? So these are some of the thrust areas, and they cover a lot of things like machine learning, human performance, materials and sensors. And another new and interesting topic area that the DARPA BTO funds is agriculture and environment. AGBTO, as they call it, is a newer branch of the BTO. I mean, when I say newer, it's not like a year old, it's probably about 3 or 4 years old. But traditionally, agriculture companies or plant scientists, they don't think about defense or DARPA when you think about agriculture solutions. So this is a great avenue. If you have products or technologies that can protect crops, that can ensure food resilience, DARPA BTO is something that you have to think about. So here are some examples of who was funded. This year there was this DARPA pitch day where they have funded 42 projects across different topic areas, biomanufacturing, then continuity technologies, and AI platform technologies to design proteins from even limited data. DeepSeek AI was one of the awardees. They got they have a AI based platform for drug discovery. That's another interesting area. As I just spoke about AGBTO, AgBTO, crop protection, pest control, surveillance, environmental threats. Citrus disease is a widespread disease, and it is a huge issue in down south. So if there is a solution that you can predict and protect the citrus crop, that's something, an example for AgBTO. Again, surveillance, protect, prevent, and deploy rapidly. So these are some of the examples that were funded. So let's come to the eligibility. All US and non-US applicants are allowed as long as they do not fall under the export control laws. So you could be a foreign national applying, that's fine. And again, multiple awards are on the plate. There is no upper limit, but if you propose a project which is within 2 million, it could go into an accelerated phase, so you could be awarded in as less as 30 days. So for longer projects, which are, maybe 5 million, 10 million, and you propose a project period of about 36 to 40 months, then those kind of applications are reviewed a little more, and there is a higher scrutiny there just because of the time frame and the amount that is going in there. But anything less than 2 million, it is going to be an accelerated pathway to awards. Again, the applications are open until 2026 September. And like I said earlier, there are special notices that keep coming out once in a while. So I would highly recommend registering on DARPA and signing up for email alerts. And if you see a special topic of interest, jump on it. What's the application pathway? So DARPA requires you to submit a pre-application. It is not very intense. It's a 2-page pre-application. There's a standard format. The template is available online. If you engage with us, we could help you with it. So it's a 2-page pre-application, and you could submit technical papers as well along with it, and bibliography. What would the pre-application entail? the most important thing in a pre-application would be your qualitative and quantitative benefits. What would you do that is going to help the warfighters, national security? And how innovative is your project? Is it an incremental improvement? Are you proposing high risk, high reward, cutting edge technology? Do you have the relevant experience? Or if you do not, then do you have the resources to bring in people with relevant experience? Have you done anything similar in the past? Do you have people who have project management experience? And how soon can you sign a contract with the defense? So, meaning, how soon can you ruggedize your product? Are you close to ruggedization? Are you ready to deploy with the defense? So these are some of the things that the DARPA will be looking for in a pre-application, and also a rough timeline and a cost estimate. As a grant writer, I would suggest that you think through with the rough order magnitude of budget and cost, because when you don't plan well and when you want to change big bucket items, it just shows a lack of planning and lack of clarity. So budget is definitely something that is always discussed with the program officers, but being as close to the final plan is shows a very good planning ability on your end. So once you submit your pre-application, DARPA will respond to your pre-application within 30 days, whether it's an invitation or not. If you get an invitation, you submit a full application. That would be a 20 pages technical volume supported by a cost volume. And the cost volume just means it's a budget justification, which is pretty standard across all the federal grants. Again, the technical volume will be highly focused on the significance, the impact, and the technical approach. One thing that the reviewers will look for is how you're going to use the DARPA funding, DARPA money, to improve your cutting edge technology or to the benefit of warfighters and national security. At no point, if they see that there is incremental improvement, that is not going to help the application. So how do you use the DARPA money effectively? So then, evaluation criteria. I can't stress enough on the high risk, highly innovative, feasible approach. So there is this idea that when we say feasible approach, let's just propose a budget amount that is lower, and let's propose a very ambitious project. That's a huge red flag. The money and the budget and the timeline have to be realistic. They have to align with what you want to achieve. Proposing the lower amounts for a very ambitious project just shows poor planning, and it just shows that you are trying to get into a good book. So a feasible, innovative, and realistic approach. A qualified team, like I said, if you do not have somebody on the team, are you able to collaborate with universities or collaborate with other small businesses? Are you able to bring in consultants? All of these things will add to the technical and scientific merit. And how relevant are you to the topic area? You can propose cross-cutting topic areas or technologies, but when you pick one topic area and you're highly aligned, it is more interesting and it is more clear. So cross-cutting is welcome, but I would say pick one topic, make it strong. And again, cost realism, detailed budget and budget justification, no over or underestimation, and DARPA discourages low risk, low cost strategies. I think this is pretty much it. This is a very high level overview of what DARPA is and what you should be doing. Before you start writing, write to us, talk to us. We may be able to help you with registrations. We will be able to help you with registrations as well. We have a very dedicated admin team that can help you with registrations. Our emails are here. DARPA also is very responsive. You could write to the BTO point of contacts there. And then these are some additional resources that you could explore. There are multiple connecting, pitch days, like the opportunity fair. There are various ways you can get into the DARPA. So there is something called Iris Marketplace. Most of you may be aware of it. Iris Marketplace is a place where you could put in your abstract, put in a video, and they will respond to you. So there are multiple ways DARPA is going to engage with you. Use those resources, sign up, and talk to us. Over to you, Robert.
Yeah, thanks, Samir. I appreciate that. So I have a few questions in the queue. Just to kind of reiterate this, the slide deck that Dr. Samir provided will be sent out via email in addition to the call recording here. So if you guys have questions about that, all that will be sent over. I'll also send over information about the BTO, the solicitation to you guys, as well as our normal process for bringing clients in to help with any portion of this is to go through a due diligence process. So before any strings are attached, before any payment is issued, we want to do an examination of your project to ensure it's a good fit for DARPA before we actually decide to take on the project. So I'll also talk about that due diligence process in the email as well, but feel free to go ahead and think of what these projects would look like should you guys do submission. All right, so we're going to go to the first question here. The question is, advancing and enhancing protein purification process, would that be aligned with DARPA's BTO?
Yes, I think that would be aligned. It's just the word advancing is, I think, is the showing that it's an incremental improvement. But I'm sure there must be something very innovative there. So instead of saying advancing, we would say a novel cutting edge protein purification process. Then yes.
Yeah, it's good. And that's definitely a grant writer answer. I think when you're trying to communicate high risk, high reward, yet reasonable and justifiable in terms of your cost, that's definitely a fine line to walk. Okay, here's the next question. So is the development of host-directed medical countermeasures for the treatment of highly priority CBRNE threats aligned with their interests? And is this relevant to topic area 4 listed under the DARPA ERIS?
Host-directed medical countermeasures. Yes, so that would fall under the combat casualty care. So yes.
Okay, great. Next question here. Sorry, we're just going to run through some of these. How far along do you realistically need to be with your product to get funding, TRL levels? What are the most fundable TRL levels for people that are beginning engagement with DARPA here?
Robert, do you want to answer or?
No, if you want to answer, that would be great. I know you've sent me that a few times, but I'd love for you to expound on it.
So it just shows a prompt that Robert would like to answer. That's why I was asking, not to put you on the spot. So I would say early TRL levels, because when you're at an advanced TRL level, that just shows that you already have a prototype, you already are into pilot studies. So this would be earlier TRL levels. So entry level, high risk, high reward, highly innovative, not advanced TRL levels.
And so is it appropriate to say TRL 2 to 4 realistically, kind of in that range?
Yeah, I guess so. Yeah.
Okay, great. All right. And then someone just wanted to clarify that non-US sources are eligible. Can you talk about the eligibility and also maybe in comparison with the competitiveness for applications that are strongly focused on US use cases, collaborative partners that are here in the US and things like that?
So non-US applicants are eligible. It would be nice to have a collaboration and show applicability to the US national security and combat casualty care and all of those areas. So even though you may be from a different country, yes, definitely if you are able to show the national relevance here, that would be nice. What was the second part, Robert? I lost it.
Yeah, I think you spoke to that just on the focus on bringing this to the U.S. and having that be the large focus of the opportunity.
Yeah.
So we've got another question about the BTO funding. Is it impacted by the current government shutdown? Are there any risk of delays in submission and response?
As far as I know, and we have been submitting applications on portals, so we are able to submit. Robert, I mean, I would ask you, and we'll check with the admin team as well, but we are able to submit applications. I I'm not, I cannot guarantee that there will be a response to any direct email communications, like, asking for a feedback at this point. That may be impacted, but the portals, most of the portals are open, most of them are accepting applications. And since this is a rolling deadline and it's just, I think this is a less than a month old solicitation, so we don't have to rush in this particular moment. Maybe the government will open in like a week or so or something. So then we have more opportunities to connect. But yep, just brief answer, yes, the portals are open. We can still submit.
Okay, great. Yeah, and we are hopefully we're waiting for the government to open back up, which we anticipate will happen here hopefully soon, either the end of this month or early next month. But you're right, most of these submission portals are still allowable. Here's a question from Josh. You keep emphasizing the warfighter aspect and including home defense as an aside. If we are developing something that hits on both of these aspects, i.e. home defense as well as warfighter, would you suggest emphasizing the warfighter application or both the at-home or defense use?
It can be both. I mean, cross-cutting technologies are definitely welcome. Very few technologies are directly aligned to one particular topic area. Most of the applications are cross-cutting, and when we think about combat casualty care or warfighter aspect, it is definitely indirectly impacting home defense, right? So in a way, you are protecting the nation while you're helping the warfighters. So yes, it is fine to have cross-cutting topic areas as long as you're able to show how it is aligned with the topic area.
Okay, great. Great answer. Would DARPA be interested in a blood filter capable of removing toxins and chemokines?
Yeah, I think that's a good topic for the current open RBC. Uh, I can find it and we can talk about it. But if you just look up DARPA BTO special topic, which is the RBC, they are exclusively looking for blood and blood associated products, technologies, and other things. Blood filter toxins are yes. I would say to strengthen your application, think about how you can deploy and how you could ensure shelf life, logistics, storage, and all of those things. But yes, that's a very, very high topic of interest.
Okay, great. We're running a little short on time, so there's quite a few questions about resubmissions. If you submit an abstract to DARPA or that initial pre-application and you do not get an invitation, are you allowed to do a resubmission of that pre-application?
Yeah, definitely. You get feedback, and once you have that feedback, you can definitely improve your application. Yes, these submissions are allowed.
Okay, great. Awesome. Well, and there's also a few questions about our services and how we're compensated for those. So I'll send out some information for you guys to review in that email as well. But just wanted to make sure we attack a lot of those other questions. At the end of the day, we respond to the help and assistance that you guys need, either on a fractional hourly engagement, consulting, reviewing, editing on an hourly basis, or we can take a crux of the writing on and actually help pursue written applications, writing the initial pre-application, writing the full submission when you're invited, helping with the budget, and we have more full type of engagements for that. So I'll send information about that. But that concludes our time here today. So again, we will send out the slide deck, the recording of this webinar to everybody that attended, everybody that was on the registration list. We'll send out the solicitation information, more information about our services, and then also the due diligence form. So again, if you would like to go ahead and propose a project that would be funded by DARPA or could be funded by DARPA, we'll actually have Dr. Samira review that in due diligence to see if that project would be well suited for the application here. So all that information will be sent by me in an email following this webinar. And yeah, if I don't think we have any other administrative questions here. So we'll go ahead and stop there. Thanks everybody for the time today, and wish you the best of luck. Hope to see lots of invitations from DARPA from all the participants here today. Look forward to connecting with you guys here soon. Thanks so much.